Real Estate Agents of Australia. Your real estate gym coach, Tom Panos.
Tom Panos, the Sunday night rant, not on Sunday night, on Sunday afternoon, coming to you live from ARIC on the Gold Coast, ARIC 2019, a special Sunday night live stream. And I've got with me, right next to me, the keynote speaker that delivered 2 one-hour talks. It doesn't matter whether you're a mortgage broker, a banker, it doesn't matter whatever business you're in. If you had to influence people, you had to be sitting in that audience. We've got the next best thing. We're bringing you him live via live stream. Todd Duncan, how you going?
John Panos, good to be here, man.
Okay, the man from California on the Gold Coast. You've spent 2 hours talking to the audience. I have to say to you, your content was outstanding.
Thank you.
You went in and you delivered information that I think people can go in and implement straight away. And you know what I liked about it? In this crazy world that we live in, where we're told by people that you've got to make 1,000 phone calls, that you've got to go off and be like this Manila call center, you actually said, throw that in the bin. The reality is you can do a lot more with less. You covered 3 incredible lessons.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those? And also tell people a little bit about who you are, because you touch 250,000 people a year you touch with your business in the US.
Yeah. So I grew up in the real estate and mortgage business and didn't know coming out of university what I really wanted to do, but I got this sense in talking with my dad and talking with a friend of his who owned a real estate company that maybe my marketing skills and my finance skills would really set myself up to help people buy and sell real estate. And so without knowing exactly what I was doing, I had this kind of draw into becoming a real estate broker at the age of 23. And I did that because I wanted to know real estate. I wanted to have kind of an image that I was a broker and I was going to be working with brokers, working with buyers, sellers, investors, and I wanted to be able to say that you could trust me. And I think that was where the seed of trust was really birthed. And our company, High Trust, is all about helping real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, anybody in banking, anybody in finance, and actually anybody in the world, but specifically in finance, learn the power of trust. And that was the first idea that I shared with everybody, that trust is actually your superpower, and that in a world in which we exist today, trust is desired by everybody, but not mastered by very many people at all. In fact, it's a few, and everybody's trustworthy, I think, to some degree, but most don't understand the power of trust in creating influence. And what we said today is that trust is the great disruptor. You don't need to call more people. You don't need to send more mail. You don't need to market more. You need to do a better job with the people that you have right now, and that influence will unleash this firestorm of loyalty and referrals that most people would just kill for.
Okay, so lesson number 1 is you're saying trust is a superpower, more stronger than disruption. It is disruption, you're saying.
Total disruption, yeah. In fact, when we look at 28 domesticized countries around the world, we start to look at the lion's share of them. 20 of 28 countries are in the distrust category. The US is one of those, Australia is one of those, and so when the world is talking about distrust and countries are being labeled by their own inhabitants and their citizens as distrustful, we have an issue. We have a potentially an epidemic of lack of trust. And so when we're in real estate and lending and we're talking to people about the largest decision they're ever going to make, the absolute minimum standard is high trust. And most people don't come at it that way. They come at it with salesmanship, they come at it with gimmick, they come at it with promotion and all these things, and it doesn't convert. And so in our world, it's not about how many people you talk to. It's about how fast can you create trust, how reliable is high trust, and how does that set yourself up to have a business that just grows exponentially.
Is there a way that you can build trust quickly?
I think that the best way to build trust quickly, let's say for example, I know Susan, and Susan knows you. And you go to Susan and you say, I need a real estate broker and I don't want to mess around. I want somebody that I can really, really count on. And Susan looks at you in the eyes and says, Tom, you can count on Todd Duncan. I've known him for about 7 years. Everybody I talk to is thrilled with what he does. They're all happy. He has 5-star ratings. He is a low risk, a high value kind of guy. on my word, you can trust him. That's the fastest way to build trust, because when I call you and I say, hey, Tom, Susan, your dear friend, asked me to give you a call. She said maybe you're looking for a real estate agent. I just want to let you know I wanted to follow up at her request. You trust me now.
Okay, so to me, trust is what someone else says about you on a scale of 10. That sort of hits the RIT car.
In the fastest way to grow trust? You know, I mean, because there's performance trust, there's relationship trust, there's economic trust, there's emotional trust. It's pretty hard to speed those along. But if one person can say in a couple of minutes, I trust this guy implicitly, or I trust this gal implicitly, that's the fastest way for you and I to connect. And now we can get down to business. I don't have to try and influence you or convince you or do any of that, because somebody you know, love, and trust said, Tom, you can count on him.
Okay, so guys and girls, if you're watching this right now thinking to yourself, how do I execute something like that? It's really simple. There are people that are called shot callers, connectors, influencers. One of these people can open the door to a magnificent life versus the other approach where you're going to go off like a Manila call center, ringing up one person after the other, trying to win the sales lottery, where someone's going to say, oh yes, hooray, lucky today was the day I was waiting for a salesperson to call me to sell me that product.
Right time, right place. Yeah.
I love that. Let's move on to number 2, the second key message that you delivered in your talk today.
Well, so categorically, when you look at, for example, real estate, everybody that is a real estate agent in Australia is in one category, right? And that category is a category that has low trust by all standards we've looked at. It's got low trust just a tad above double digits, 11%, 12%, which says that most of the population distrusts the trade called real estate.
90% do. Is that what it means? What did you say, 11?
89%.
89%?
Yeah, 11% of respondents trust realtors,
okay,
trust real estate agents. That means that 89% do not.
Right.
And so when you look at that, you go, okay, well, does that mean that 89% of agents are untrustworthy? No. It means that you can be in the category that is not trusted, and by association, be distrusted. You don't have to be a dishonest person to be distrusted. So what we talked about, the second point, was how do you, in that sea of sameness, really, really differentiate? How do you become somebody that has a higher calling, a higher purpose, that believes in relationship, that's not just trying to move things through the transactional queue? You look at conversion, you look at making 1,000 calls. Some of these call centers have a 1% conversion rate.
Yeah.
You know, and so that means 99% of the people are not impacted. And that's just a bank account by body count kind of game, right? In high trust selling and in high trust living, it's about making sure that we connect in a way that is different, unique, that is attractive, that people would like that because they feel not only the trust piece of it, but they feel that you really, really care. And so when we talk about differentiation, we talk about how do you package yourself, the words you say, the questions you ask, and the absolute, and I think one of the themes today throughout the conference was this unequivocal commitment to 5-star service, to really, really delivering the goods and not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes, really delivering the goods. You can be differentiated in a market today by really, really delivering the goods. You look at anything, I mean, you look at Net Promoter Score. Australia is popular for Net Promoter Score. Anything less than a 9, which on the 5-star scale is a 4.5, is a neutral person. 1 point down from that, they're not going to recommend. They're not going to, and then go a couple down from that, you get to 4 stars, you have detractors. You have people that will go out of their way saying not to use you, versus those who have a 5-star or a 4.5 star saying you must use them. So that differentiation, absolutely.
But to me, that's exciting, because what you're saying is you might be in this box where 90% or 89% saying we don't trust you, but you have got the opportunity. You can make choices, you can take actions, you can have a different behavior that shifts you to another category where people say they're different.
You can actually use it to your advantage. And one of the things that I shared with the group at REC today was this idea of let's go ahead and in one fell swoop put all the negative, distrusted, untrustworthy people that are in real estate in one bucket without putting them down. So all I would have to say to a consumer is most real estate agents, and then I fill in the blank. And how I am different is fill in the blank. That's a recipe for differentiation. I could literally say, you know,
Give us an example.
Well, most real estate agents would come here and tell you how good they are and how they get top price for their listings, and they would tell you all the things they're going to do. how I am different is I really want to know what's important to you about selling this home. I want to know what your long-term goals are. I really want to know what we need to do to make sure that this transaction feeds your life, feeds your dreams, feeds what you want to do next, because I want to help you along
That's
the way.
gold. I've got to tell you, I'm just thinking about it. I can picture a real estate agent going to a listing presentation saying, most real estate agents are going to come in and tell you why you should pick them, why they'll get you the best price, and why you should pay that fee. What I'd like to do is talk about your situation, because I may or may not be able to help you. I'd rather find out whether I can, and if it's okay, let me just ask you a few questions. If I can help you, I'll tell you what we do next. If I can't help you, I might even have to refer you to someone. That is a far better.
Total game changer.
Love that.
Total game changer.
Let's talk. So move away from the commodity dungeon, from being the same as everyone else. Let's move on to the third thing that you talked about.
Yeah. So it kind of pins on what we're seeing in social media today, what we're seeing in really direct marketing and things like that. There's far too much promotion going on, far too much mail out, far too much. You look at quarterly newsletters, you look at emails that go out, and you would be blown away how many of those are just dumped on site, right? And so we have all this promotion going on, and what's happening is we're driving a wedge in between the people we actually want to serve and the digital noise that we're creating. What we believe is that you should turn that promotion way down, and you should turn up the emotion. We see people today that don't ask enough of the deep questions. They don't really understand what your motives are as a buyer or a seller. They don't really understand what your long and short-term goals are. They don't understand what's important to you about this transaction, the largest one in your life. Promote. Put the brakes on that. Pump the brakes and just stop and realize that all that digital noise, every time something gets sent, every time something gets said that doesn't allow you to connect, it's noise that creates tension. And tension is the opposite of trust. So if you want high trust, you have to reduce the tension. And promotion increases tension. So what we tell people is, let's slow all that down. Let's learn to ask a couple of real powerful questions. Like, one of the questions, whether it's a buyer or seller, 30 days from now, we're going to do something pretty sensational together. How can I help you win between now and then? Or when you talk to a seller and you're talking about what their dreams and goals are, in the next 30 to 60 days, what are some things I can do to really help you win in real estate? I start asking questions that are off of me. I take the spotlight off of me, I put it squarely on the client, and all of a sudden they feel like I care about them. And then when you dive a little bit deeper and you say, so help me understand, I know that's important to you. Why is that important to you? What people will disclose to you. We heard it today, all day long. You had about 7 or 8 people that brought up in some way, know your why, discover people's why. It is the absolute catalyst. It's the jet fuel for connection. And I want to say to everybody that's live with us today that connection is the only thing that matters, because you can't convert by promoting. Yeah. You can only convert by connecting. And so obviously the better job you do connecting, the faster conversion will happen, the more conversion will happen, and the more real, so in other words, the more that person will stay connected to you, not just for this transaction, but we heard people today talking about the size of their database and how disconnected people are from their database. And we heard other people talk about that database is their pot of gold. Yeah. So you have to understand today, if I'm working with a seller or a buyer right here, right now, they are an asset for my business for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Gold. Promotion down, emotion up, commission breath out the window, and having this fat database of 30,000 people that don't care why they're getting stuff from you. Doesn't really matter. Guys and girls, we've been given the signal. We're going to a commercial break. We're going to be back with another speaker on the break. Thank you so much, and enjoy your dinner with your lovely wife.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you so much,
Good
Todd.
on you guys.
Coming back more locally, one of the conversations that was talked about today was voice technology, ghost voicemails. TryCall is an organisation that a lot of the agents are using in Australia and New Zealand. I know that I use them. This live stream is being brought to you by TryCall, and I've got with me someone who's going to touch on what TryCall do. And a lot of the speakers spoke about it. I mean, the ability to actually record your voice, send it out to thousands of people, and have a higher touch point than, say, a text message or an email. And I've got with me, what's your role at TryCall? Who are you, firstly?
Michael Trencher. I'm the Director of Sales at TryCall. Had a long history in the finance industry. Most recently, I was head of broker distribution for Heritage Bank, and I've been pretty much involved in the mortgage broking world for the last probably 12 or 15 years.
So, Michael, you heard Todd talking about connection and about trust. How does that all fit in with TryCall?
Well, with TryCall, it's a personalised voicemail that goes out, so it's not to be confused with a robocall. It's a personalised message you record once, and you can send it to thousands of members of your database.
Yeah.
So that's that connectivity, because that's actually connecting with them on the basis that they're going to be, there's a specific purpose for them getting the call.
Yeah.
For example, if you want to market to your database on appraisals, instead of doing leaflet drops and all that sort of stuff, if you've got a database that you can access, you can say, hello, I know you're on my database, I know that you've got a preference for a particular type of property, we've got this now coming on board. If you segment your database well, and if you've got that personal connection with them, it just enhances the overall proposition in terms of your
Okay, so agents, Michael, to me are telling me the way that they're using TryCall is sometimes they'll use it for the message that goes after open for inspections.
Yeah.
Along the lines of, hey, it's Tom here from XY Real Estate. You came through a property today. If you've got any interest, please respond back to the text message that you've received. Because one of the beauties of it is that you can send the voice that goes straight into voicemail, but in addition to that, a text message can actually follow it, which makes it easy for the person to respond.
That's right. What happens is when they get the voicemail, actually, what they can do is they can actually push a button, just push one, if you want to go back to the agent's office or even the agent's mobile phone. What that does for open for inspections, if you've got, say, 50 or 60 names, as you know, a lot of those people that turn up to those inspections are tie kickers or their neighbours or people who are just interested in the market, but they're not genuine buyers. This way, when you actually make the phone call out or put the voicemail message out to the whole database, if you hit one, you know when it comes back, you're actually speaking to someone who's a genuine buyer.
Yeah.
So you're spending time really working on genuine buyers rather than spending your Monday from the open inspection, from the Saturday that you just attended, working through that whole list.
Okay, look, I'm not a person that product pushes. I'm not into commission breath, but when I use a product myself, and I'm a user of the product,
Thank you.
I'm a user. I like to actually record my voice, and I do it in a way that I'm talking to one person, and I send it out to thousands of gym members, and I like the concept, and I have to tell you, the gym members ring back and they say, we appreciate you reaching out to me. And I don't get that with text messages. I don't get that with emails, right? So I do think that there's high value. The last speaker of the day was Alex Mintor, and I know that John McGraw said to me that he'd accidentally had sent off a voice automated message, and he talked about it today during his ARIC speech, where he just had hundreds of people called him back, and that was by accident. So just imagine when you've got some strategic intent using voice technology. We're going to have the link below where people can actually get a hold of TryCall. I'm a big believer of it. I'm a user of the product. It's been great having you on. Is there anything else you'd love to say?
No, just to say thank you for supporting us, and just encourage all your members to give us a go. You can find us, as I said, the link will be on the bottom, trycall.com.au. One thing I will say though, a lot of people think this technology is really expensive. Our smallest plan starts at $83, including GST, and it's a monthly subscription business. So you can...
so $83 a month subscription, and you get X amount.
Yeah, and you can build on that, but it starts at 83, and it's a month-by-month subscription. So give it a go, and if you're not happy with it, you can move on. But our sign-ups have been huge, and it's been a really good success. And thank you for your support.
Thank you so much, guys and girls. We're going to have a short break, and we're going to be back for our last speaker on the Sunday Night Rant, who's going to give us the best 5 points of the ARIC Day 1, John McGraw. Hey everyone, I've got with me John McGraw. He has sat there from start to finish with an iPad Pro, and I noticed you weren't using, John, I noticed that you weren't using an iPad pencil. You were typing in your notes today.
Yeah.
You don't use a pencil?
I probably type in more than I use a pencil because I have the worst handwriting on the planet.
Right.
So that's part of the reason why. But I find now, rather than taking notes manually and then trying to type them in, I'm kind of used to, which most agents are getting used to it, open for inspections and conferences, so it was good.
But you're a ferocious note taker at a conference. You sit down in one of those tub chairs on the side, and you sit there and you are taking copious notes, And for the people that aren't at ARIC, I thought what we would do is maybe just give them the John McGraw top 5 notes that you took. Five concepts. I mean, they were great speakers. Were you happy with day one, John?
Well, I think it was, as you know, I've been here 22 years at each event. I think it was arguably the best day, if not the best 1 or 2 days. And I think some of the speakers, and Todd, who you just had on the live stream, and Mark Shulman, that's literally just leaving the stage now, having signed lots of autographs, were outstanding. Everyone was outstanding, but I've got a few tips because you said to me, so I went through my notes. Todd Duncan, Tom Hector and Mark Shulman. I got a few things that hopefully for the listeners.
So John, Mark Shulman, for those that aren't at ARIC, is the drummer from Pink.
Drummer for Pink, and he's Billy Idol, he's been others, but yeah, he's a rock star. And I thought the way he tied the message of rock star message back into business, which I'll talk about in a minute, was quite exceptional. Seamless, subtle and exceptional. And just his generosity, the way at the end of it, Tommy, I mean, I think about people, you don't just listen to what they say, you watch what they do. So interesting, Todd Duncan and his wife Deb, not only gave 2 dynamic speeches, they sat through every other speech and took notes.
Yes.
Right through to the end. I think that's brilliant. And Mark at the end not only gave one of the best talks I've seen at ARIC, full stop, but he then said, I'm here as long as you need me to sign autographs. If you want to play in the drum kit, come and meet me, take photos. His generosity.
Yeah.
So he didn't just give a great speech, he gave a great experience. And Todd was the same. Not that Todd was giving you experience by taking notes, but most speakers, they go to an event, they give a great speech, then they go to lunch or they go do something else and whatever. He sat there and I just asked him on the way out as I passed him coming into the live stream, and I said, thanks for staying. I said, because for me, that actually says you were genuinely enjoying and interested in it. And he said, John, I just love learning. So he got a guy, I don't know how old he is, he's kind of in his 50s, maybe 60 or something, but and in great shape, but just keeps wanting to learn.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. I got from him a few things. He talked a lot about high trust selling, and he said, trust is the differentiator going forward. Technology is going to become, kind of everyone's going to have it. Ads, everyone's going to have pretty good ads. Everyone's going to be able to use social media. And he said the key thing going forward, and the 2 words he used were trust and confidence. He said you've got to grow trust and confidence, trust and confidence. So you build trust through integrity and frequency and delivering on stuff. And you build confidence by, product knowledge and learning and practicing. One of the great things he said is you've got to practice more than you play. So you think about it, like, footballers, sports people, or even musicians, they play, maybe once a week or a couple of times a week, and yet they're practicing every single day. Whereas in real estate agents, they're playing, listing, selling, open homes every day, and they practice rarely.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great message for our industry is, how many times, when was the last time you practiced your listing presentation, critiqued it, got with a coach, sat down and said, can you unpack this, tear it apart, rate me? I just thought that was a really great thing. So practice more than you play. Trust is your superpower.
Yeah. Yeah, he touched on that just before you came on. He touched on it. He said, this thing, is the disruptor. That's the disruptor. Yeah. Trust is the disruptor.
Trust is your superpower. And I just thought, like you think of Clark Kent, you think of all that sort of stuff. And what do we have as agents? It's trust. If I really trust you. But it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I tell the truth most of the time, all the time, or whatever, and they think that's enough trust. Trust in real estate, because then the other good slide he did, Tommy, which was on the board he had, here's the things that the consumers and sellers think agents lie about. They lie about fees, they lie about price valuations, they lie about their endorsements and their testimonials and a whole range of things. And I agree with most of it. I think there's a lot of it where there's, but if you're using price guides and you're quoting real prices, not dummy prices, and when you're speaking to a client, you're not exaggerating by 10,000, you're actually nailing the detail. I think that sort of stuff builds trust, and trust is layer upon layer, strand upon strand. So I thought that was great. Another great one he said today, which a few people texted me when he said it, was failure is a huge part of success. Right. And this is a problem, and you and I, Tom, as we coach teams and speak, you get a lot of people and they get down about, I missed 3 listings this week and I had a bad month and whatever. They're missing the point. Everyone who's successful has failed and probably fails almost as much today, maybe not quite as much. But you've got to see it as part of your learning experience and your course correction, as opposed to, I'm a bad person, maybe I'm not really good, this might be cut out for me. He said, it's inextricably linked to success. One of the great strategies he talked about was the art of saying no. Not all business is good business. You have to be able to say no. You know, I won't be able to take it on under those terms and conditions. No, I don't believe that's quite possible in this environment. And let me tell you why. So some of his scripts were great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get a few of his slides, I've got most of them, and maybe put them up for your gym members and stuff on your website, because I think some of his dialogue was just gold. And then we went to Tommy Hector straight afterwards, so what an opening to the event. Tom talked about 3 things, and one of them was do what is right now and not what is easy. So it's kind of easy to answer calls, respond to emails, turn up to an open, but what you've got to do right now is prospect. You've got to pick up the phone, ring a series of people and add value, connect with them, and ask them some questions. So, you know, do what is right now. I thought that was really good. He also talked about, the second one was, you've got to move from me to we.
Yeah.
So the best agents, and this is not necessarily starting day one, but those that are starting to build momentum, your next leg of your journey is going to be about leverage.
Yeah.
And Todd actually talked about his father being a radiographer, and they said, why don't you take the radiographs, the x-rays? And he said, well, I get paid to read them, not take them. And I think he also said, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And that's not being disrespectful, but it's just like reality.
John, the flight attendant doesn't serve drinks on the plane, isn't it? The captain.
Yeah, the
right?
flight attendant does.
Oh, sorry, the flight attendant does.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. The captain's there and he's doing his job. So I thought that was a really good metaphor.
So he moved to the team. What else did Hector talk about?
Me to we. The third one was balance, his sustainable performance through maintaining balance. So then he talked about making sure you're having joy, what you're doing, making sure that you're keeping yourself in good mental and physical state. So those were the 3 things.
John, you must be proud to think that this guy came to ARIC as an 18-year-old, right? First time. He then speaks at ARIC at 21, speaks at ARIC at 25, speaks at ARIC now at 28. He's doing 200 sales a year.
One of the best agents in the world, undoubtedly. Right. So how many agents in the world? And look, in America, people say, oh, I did 1,000, but they've got a team of 47 and they've got a team of 105. It's different. I mean, the Australian structure and New Zealand is generally, you know, agent, PA, and maybe a couple of buyer specialists, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's his structure to do a couple of 100 sales. He's doing a sale a day almost.
Yeah.
Freak. And a great guy, healthy, you know, relaxed, good family man, got all the kind of good stuff happening.
Other speakers, John?
So the last one I wanted to just touch on a few points was Mark Shulman, the drummer, and he talked about, he said, okay, maybe you think I'm a rock star, but he said, you're a rock star too. In real estate, you've got to be a rock star. Every day you're performing, you've got to put on a rock star performance. And he talked about a conversation he had with Billy Idol, and Billy Idol said, because he said, you know, why are you so successful? You've done really well. And Billy said, I sing every note as though it's the last note I'll ever sing in my life. Because he said every note matters. So that's around double clicking on attention to detail and being passionate about the little things. Because you imagine Billy Idol, he's worth multi-millions, he's probably at the tail end of his career, sort of twilight, he's been doing it for maybe 40 years, and he sings every note. And I always think about our auctioneers, because I had this discussion with some of our guys last week, and I said, I know you might do 8 auctions every week, and on the 8th one on a Saturday you're a bit tired, but I've got to tell you, that's got to feel like the first and only auction you've ever done in your life, or the most important auction ever. You can't get into this kind of thing whether you're an agent. Same if you're an agent doing 8 opens, the last person that comes through the last open has got to be treated like the first person that came through the first one. Details matter, every single note. And he also talked a lot about gratitude, and he said shift from have to get to. So he said to the audience, so tell me something that you kind of, sort of feel you have to do it, it's important, but you don't really love doing it. And someone said exercise. And he said, so shift it from I have to exercise to I get to exercise. Exercise is a joy. Exercise is a gift that we give ourselves and our body going forward. So just shifting the context, I thought was brilliant. And the last thing he said, which I love, and it was almost his last line, he said, the future is for the bold.
Yeah.
Things are changing. The real estate industry is changing. It's changing macroeconomically, it's changing structurally, it's changing in whole areas. The chaos is the opportunity, and those that are bold and go for, I love when Tommy Hector said, I do all my auctions on Friday. I think he said I've done 5 in the last year on a Saturday. And I actually didn't get the context, but I'm assuming it's because he's so busy with opens on a Saturday and he wants to save that precious time. But he said, it's not necessarily a popular immediate request or suggestion, but he said, only 5 have. So he's taken control of his own environment And he's figured out that it's a good thing for his clients. They get to come. It's a good thing for his business, and they get the focus of it. So I just thought that was good. The future is for the bold. So there's more than 5 there, but hopefully, you know, like I said, if we can put a few slides, I've taken lots of photos, and Troy and Adrian both did the same. So if we can put a few of the screenshots up for your gym members,
We will do that. And
I
John,
think that would be great.
John, tomorrow we're going to announce at ARIC mid-morning that you and I, over the next 12 months, are going to get a small group of real estate agents. We want an intimate group, not the 3,000 or 4,000 that are in a room. We want to sit down with them over 12 months and help them 2x their business. If that means going from 500 to $1 million, or from $1 million to $2 million, it's probably not for someone
Or
that...
150 to 350.
Correct.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You
It's
don't
to-
have to be an elite agent to be in the room. I think we did one with Troy, you know, probably 18 months, 2 years ago. It was really well received. I don't know why we haven't done one since, but anyway, we are now. And I agree with you. I think ARIC is wonderful, and Real Estate Gym is great because there's big numbers and there's kind of a great network. This is designed, I think, to be more of a fireside chat that goes for 12 months in blocks of 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days.
Correct.
And we're going to be doing the vast majority of the coaching, but we will bring in select experts, you know, for specific topics.
But I think, John, one of the topics that keeps coming up is how do we get more of John and you together in a room versus just hearing agent stories, and this is what it's all about, to get closer towards them. And we're going to pick a location that is going to allow people that are in Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, or Auckland, Gold Coast, they can fly into Sydney. It's going to be near the airport, and they can spend 2 days with us. They'll end up taking some action steps to do, and unashamedly, it's going to mean an investment of time and energy, and also of commitment. It's roughly going to work out to being $100 a week, which works out to being $4,950 for a 12-month program. This mastery program, we want to sit with people in 12 months' time and say, wow, we can look at their group certificate. It went from there to there. And I know it matters to you, John. You're at the stage in your life, and I know I'm at the stage in my life, that it matters to make a difference to people's. And you get a kick out of it.
I get the greatest buzz when someone says, God, you said something to me 8 years ago and I took it to heart and it made a difference. And so I agree with you. And what I like about the 2 day blocks, as much as, you know, there's an effort for both us and them to do it, they give you the time and space to have authentic conversations without being rushed. And it's not a seminar, it's a workshop. It's a conversation, and it doesn't happen once, it happens multiple times through the year. So yeah, no, it'll be awesome. I can't wait, and you know, thanks for bringing the idea.
And I've been the one that, you know, the health issue stopped us from jumping in last year.
That's right, yeah.
So what we're going to do is come to the Tom Panos stand tomorrow, see Susan and the team. You'll put your name, mobile and email, or under the comments, just reply to info@tompanos.com.au. Susan will put the email link there, but we may need, because we'll have more people than the spots available, it may require a 5-minute phone interview, because we want to make sure we don't want someone doing something that we don't think they're going to get value out of it.
They've got to pass Susan's scrutiny.
They've got to do.
That's a scary thing.
So
I would not want to be trying to get through Susan's net. I think she would be very tough.
No.
But that's good. That means we get the best people in the room.
Correct. So John, let's have a break. Tomorrow, another big day. We've got Barbara Corcoran in the morning at 8:30. Can't wait till we see her. And we've got a guy. This is what I like about this ARIC program, and that is that it's not just speakers, it's content. We know that people need to have tough conversation, tough love. And we've got the best.
Scott down, Scott Duncan, good guy.
Beautiful guy, beautiful guy. So we've got that, plus we've got heaps of agent speakers. We've got panels, we've got Michael Pallier, who has sold more real estate.
Best in Australia.
Best in Australia.
And interesting, because he's the best in Australia and the most unlikely best in Australia one could ever. Most people will meet Mike and be surprised, a positive statement, surprised, because he's so un-real estate. And I had the great pleasure of knowing Mike before he got into real estate, when he was a mechanic at Wollongong, used to catch a train to Sydney every day. Then he became a salesman for Rolls-Royce. Then he went into real estate, and now #1 in Australia unbelievable figures.
A
right?
mechanic from Wollongong ends up selling more real estate in dollar value than anyone else in the last few decades.
He's the embodiment of the greatest success from where he came from to where he is now. There's no one that I've ever known. You know, people have come from not much and been highly successful, but he used to catch a train every day from Wollongong to Sydney to work on Rolls-Royce. That was his dream, was to be a mechanic for Rolls-Royce. And then he thought, maybe I could sell them. So then he started selling them. Then he became Australia's best Rolls-Royce salesman. Then he thought, well, Rolls-Royce is kind of good, but there's not too many buyers, and I'd rather go to real estate. And he's transferred it into real estate. And as you know, I mean, you know him as well as I do, he's just a great guy, quirky, so unreal estate. So that'll be cool. So yeah, lots of good stuff. So those that are here, this is going to people that aren't here too, right?
Oh, it's going to everyone. The
Yeah.
people. And by the way, guys and girls, those that are watching this right now, I'd love you to say who was the speaker that really, you liked. I'd love you in the comments. Who was your favourite speaker of AREC Day 1 for those that are at the conference? John, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We've got a $1 Million Agent podcast at 8 o'clock. It's the one time in the year we let Troy Malcolm loose, and the guy's lost a few kilos.
He's put a bag over his head.
Yeah.
Because he does make you and I look.
I mean,
we don't look good at the best
we've
of
got to
times, but he makes us look
sabotage. We've got to
particularly bad.
Susan, if there's a way that we can sabotage Troy in front of all the people tomorrow, that will be, to me, the highlight to me. I can't stop laughing after Dick Spider. What's it? Dick Slider. Slider guy. John, you called up. That was an incredible that was an incredible play. You called. I mean, this guy, vendor management with his karate cut moves, right? He was outstanding. Follow the guy. Follow him on Instagram.
Hysterical. Like, I just, I was watching his Instagram and I thought, we have to get this guy live. He actually should have a TV show, I reckon. We had to get him live, and I was bent over laughing, and people had tears in their eyes, and I'm sure there's a bit of reverence that didn't, maybe some people got offended. I doubt it. So, yeah.
Okay, guys and girls, do us a favour. Press the share button. If you've enjoyed this content, this video has been good, press the share button. Share some of the strategies that came from AREC. We look forward to talking to you next Sunday. Johnny, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.